Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find other music-related content on the channel. Thank you for, first of all, clicking on the video. Much appreciated. Hopefully, this will inspire you to maybe check out the rest of the content on the channel. I've been going through a little bit of scheduling, going through some of my backlog in terms of the interviews, and so I'll be back to your regular dosage of audio addiction next week, so you can keep an eye out for that. I have plenty of reaction videos in the docket as well, so if you like any of those things, maybe you'll stick around and check the rest of the channel out. But tonight, the reason you're here probably is to check out my review of Hail the Sun's newest record, New Age Filth. So I've been a fan of this band for a pretty decent amount of time. I'm almost positive I knew about them slightly before they signed to Equal Vision Records with one of my favorite EPs that they've done, which is Elephantitis. That is what really kind of got me started in this band, and I've pretty much followed every single record that they've released since. Culture Scars, Wake, Secret Wars. I did a review of Mental Knife a couple years ago, and so I've really found a kinship with this band. I've had them on twice to interview, and so for me, it's just a band that constantly stays in my musical rotation, as well as just people that I generally care about. So I'm glad that they're on to their next record. It's always an exciting time. I want to give a shout out to Alexa over at Engage. She was the one who sent me this record a little early, as well as Equal Vision for continuing to support what I do. You always have fantastic bands, so it's really never a hard time for me to check out what's going on at Equal Vision. But as you know, or maybe not know, I'm going to go through each track off this record, give you my thoughts and opinions on it, go through some pros and cons, and then finish it out with an overall rating. So the first track is called Domino, starting this record off with the longest song on New Age Filth, which is quite a large task, I would say, for most bands. However, I feel like Hail the Sun really takes these sorts of things into strides. I also say that this song particularly does a really good job of cramming a lot of the aspects and the sounds you would get from New Age Filth into one nice 4+ minute song. I think they do a great job of kind of canvassing the entire record with the song. I know that they only have currently at the time Domino, Major Mark, and Parasitic Cleanse out right now in terms of like music videos, and so I'm excited for other people to kind of listen to the new record and take it in for what it is. But I love that the fact that this song starts off with a cool effects-driven guitar lick that really trails into a full band moment with Donnie at the helm, both from the drummer's perspective as well as the vocal perspective. To me, I feel like Donnie always has been the type of vocalist to take on new tasks or new sounds and stuff like that, and just to kind of improve his overall vocal skills. And in this song particularly, I feel like he has a really great job of bringing in some like gritty tonality to his voice, as well as some really polished out cleans. I think he does a little bit of a better job on tracks that I'll be talking about a little later on, but his vocals sound super on point on this track. I love the vocal harmonies. It really fills out the structure of the song. I have to give another massive shout out and credit to Chris Crummett. He was the one who did the production on this record, and I think he definitely had, along with Hail the Sun, a pretty good influence in terms of how songs are structured, how they're arranged out, and I think that they did a really good job of kind of combining those two aspects, but still, keeping it Hail the Sun, which I really appreciate. Donnie really pushes his vocals, both from the screaming department as well as the cleans, and you can definitely hear him just push his vocal boundaries on this record, which is definitely impressive. I think he always strives to best himself in each record, and I think thus far he's doing a pretty good job of it. I love the lead guitar parts, and I love how it kind of continues the consistency in the first verse as well as the second verse of this song respectively, and how just Domino in general really takes different attributes of the song and kind of either like remashes it into like a different like guitar rhythm part or like a drum part or a bass part. I think that they all fit really well, and it keeps it to this song particularly. There's this nice little guitar solo at the 1 minute and 4 second mark to around the 1 minute and 18 second mark. In the music video, it shows Arik playing the guitar solo, but I know that both Shane and Arik are kind of interchangeable in terms of the lead, and I would highly recommend watching the 3-part series they did on recording LP5 on Equal Vision. I think they did a good job of kind of explaining their thought process and like how how well they kind of gel together, and that is why I would assume that this solo is recorded by Arik, but I'm not 100% sure. So I hope that maybe I'll get some clarification. Maybe, who knows. But anyway, continuing on, I like that John really adds a lot of structure to this song. He really keeps the song grounded with his bass lines, which I definitely appreciate. He's a solid bass player, and I think he exemplifies a lot of that stuff in songs that we'll talk about a little bit later. And but probably my favorite part of Domino that may or may not pass some people by, I feel like hardcore HTS fans are definitely going to notate this, but probably my favorite part is around the 3 minutes and 43 second mark to around the 4 minutes and 15 second mark, where the bass and the guitar like harmonize melodically. I thought that was super tight, and I think the riff between them two, both John, Arik, and Shane, I just think is just like unmatched in that portion of the song. And I feel like Domino is a great first track to start the record off with, but I also feel like it exemplifies what you're going to be hearing throughout this record. So we're going to move it into track number 2, which is Slander. The drumming on this track is just next level to me. I think I'm almost sure that Donnie recorded drums on this record. I know that shout outs to Alan, I know he does the drumming when they go on tour live, so I know he can definitely play these songs. So I'm curious if he has had a larger hand in some of the drumming parts off this record. Maybe I'll have to ask him, but again, drumming was incredible. I think it's pretty next level. Rhythmically, it's like all over the map, from like the incredible amount of energy to like the softer moments that you can hear like in the first moments of the song all the way to the end. I just think it is the standout instrument in this song particularly, and I'd say that's an absolute understatement. And I'm sure you're probably gonna get a similar feeling when you go to listen to it. But I like that the intro of the song has a similar vibe to Gouge and Uproot, which was off Mental Knife, but with like a little bit of a faster tempo. I wouldn't say it's verbatim, but I would say the structure is kind of similar, and melodically it kind of sounds similar too. So, which I definitely like. I love when bands do sort of a callback moment, and whether this was intentional or not, I think that it really, to me, was the first song that I could think of that kind of has a similar vibe. I like that Slander has more of a melodic focus, whether it's from the perspective of the guitars, i.e. the like beautiful guitar chords and phrasings that they use in this track, or Donnie's clean singing. I think that they really just kind of hit the mark on that, and I know that was kind of a big stressor for them that they wanted to achieve on this record, and so I feel like they thus far have done a really good job of kind of keeping me like engage with some of the melodies that are going on, but also like some of the harder, heavier moments that I feel like this album brings. I will also say I love the little aggressive bit at the 2 minutes and 30-second mark to around the 2 minutes and 53-second mark. I can absolutely envision a circle pit breaking out to this song, obviously when shows come back to normal, but this one feels like a song I would love to hear live just because of the energy of the song. And obviously I know that they're doing a live stream of this record, but I feel like there's just going to be something about seeing this song like live with people in a like venue. I think it's just going to go off for sure. So we're going to move into track number 3, which is Solipsism. I'm pretty sure I said that right. I practiced it a little bit low key, so I didn't screw it up. But I am in love with this track. This was like immediately when I started listening to this, when I got the stream, this was one that immediately stuck out to me as one of my favorites. And I feel like this one just has everything that I love about this band. The rhythmic changes was definitely something that was unexpected for me, but it just adds the level of an enticement that I feel for this record. And this song particularly, I love just the catchiness of it. It's just got a really good vibe to it, and it's absolutely what made me stay and continue to listen to this record many times. And so I really enjoy that. I love Donnie's vocals in this track. I think this is definitely one of his more standout tracks, but I do have to say his drumming is equally as impressive. And considering that we just listened to Slander, I think that's some pretty high marks as well. I love the groove, the balance that this song brings. It definitely sticks within, it sticks with you within minutes of hearing this song, which is definitely cool. And I love how it transitions into the next track, which is Misfire. Just being able to kind of move between those two songs super fluidly is definitely awesome. And I think that the end of Solipsism does a great job of that. So we're going to move into track number 4, which is, like I mentioned, Misfire. I'm really digging the auxiliary instruments, whether it be kind of like the more ethereal guitar parts or the bongos. I thought that was really nice. It adds a nice little Latin flair to their band, which is definitely cool, and I love being able to hear those sorts of sounds in a track. Portions of the songs definitely feel like Mars Volta, like Circa Survive-esque, I would say more specifically. Portions of like the intro and verses definitely feel along those vibes, and I know that they take influences from both of those bands. So if you enjoy either one of those bands plus Hail the Sun, obviously you're going to enjoy a track like this. I do feel like Hail the Sun in general upgraded how they go about structuring songs. I know I mentioned earlier with Chris Crummett, but I think this song particularly does a great job of being really structured, and the way that the guitar parts, the vocals, the drums, the bass, all of those things kind of work in tandem, just feel really fluid. And considering that they have like different time signatures, different tempos in a track like this, I think it's impressive that they still kind of keep to the same vibe, the same overall feeling, and it doesn't feel so jarring. Like sometimes it does a little bit, but I think that kind of is what, at least to me, keeps me entertained and keeps me wanting to like listen to the more of it after something like that. I also love kind of the ambience and the etherealness of this track. It feels more of an integral portion of the song rather than just kind of like different sections that are like kind of closed off. It just really flows super well, and to me, I feel like this one's gonna be a sleeper's track for most people. Like some people, I feel like this is gonna fly under their radar, but definitely one that I would probably include amongst some of my favorites off this record thus far. It just does a great job and of making interesting sounds and memorable ones at the very least. So definitely go give Misfire a listen when it comes out on Friday. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is Major Mark. This one, as my voice cracks, I love how some of the more memorable Hail the Sun's tracks to me are the softer ones. While this song has a pretty lively feel to it. I think it kind of sits at the midpoint of two older songs being Words of Gratitude and 1109 in terms of sound. I feel like lyrically the integrity of Words of Gratitude kind of no pun intended meet the same mark as that track, and musically I feel like it kind of has a similar drive to that of 1109, probably a little bit less screaming, but I think like instrumentally it could be a sister version of that track. I love how, again, I'm gonna make a terrible pun, but I love how Donnie's cleans really made a mark, and I feel like they really hit the mark. Wink. But seriously, I love how he kind of still surprises me at how he commands a track and how he does stuff. And I think, to me, after seeing them so many times live, I think just the way that he kind of, especially when he's behind the drum kit, I think it's just so impressive to me how he commands the music still, and having to do something that is obviously very mentally tasking, in terms of like remembering the drum parts and just kind of keeping everybody in check. So again, gotta give the shouts to Donnie. I think he really does do a great job, and I think another larger selling point on this track is just the arrangement of it. I think both vocally as well as instrumentally, I think it's just structured out super well, and I think that they did a great job of creating like a beautiful sonic landscape that I feel like, again, much like Misfire, I feel like this one is definitely amongst my favorite, and probably one that people might glaze over a little bit just because, again, it is a single. I feel like it's slightly force-fed to people who like this band, but again, I feel like it does a great job of highlighting their kind of atmospheric and clean sound, as well as kind of dirtying it up a little bit later in the choruses and stuff like that. But overall, enjoyed this one a lot. Definitely go check this one out because it is out now. So we're gonna move it into track number 6, which is Slip My Mind. I feel like this one's definitely a grower. I didn't really enjoy it upon first listen, but I feel like with each time that I listen to this song, it gets a little bit better and better. I think it's just because it starts off a little bit on the slower side, but I would say that the latter half of this song is really what caught my attention. The second verse more specifically feels very like Tides of Man, Dreamhouse-esque, or Dreamhouse inspired, which is definitely cool. I believe that they are using similar chord phrasing to that of Salamanders and Worms, which is a fantastic track. Whether it was intentional or not in the song, I think it does really, at least to me, remind me of that band, which is definitely cool. There's a nice little breakdown at around the 2 minutes and 36 second mark to around the 2 minutes and 58 second mark. And I'd say overall, I think this is a solid song, definitely a better finisher than opener. But overall, I think it had some of my favorite moments, or definitely inspired moments. So it is one that you should give a listen to. Again, I might have a difference of opinion, later on when I'm doing the albums of the year. But yeah, I just really think that each time I listen to it, I'm going to like it just a little bit more. So we're going to move into track number 7, which is Parasitic Cleanse. I love that this song is simultaneously one of their heavier tracks, or one of the heaviest tracks off this record, but also one of their grooviest tracks. I think the dichotomy of those two things really keep the song interesting for me, and every time that I come back to this song, when I was listening for it for this review now, I thought that was, I knew immediately that it was Parasitic Cleanse, just because it has this just like off the wall different sound to it, which I definitely appreciate. The chorus feels very DGD inspired. You can definitely hear a lot of similar bass lines to that of DGD, and obviously with them used to be on the same level as a lot of Blue Swan bands. I feel like they definitely took influence from that. They've toured with DGD before, so I feel like the inspiration is there certainly, and I think they definitely borrow some stuff that DGD does well, and I think that they also in turn do well, kind of doing within their own parameters. I love John's bass lines in this track. I love that he's kind of more of the focal point, despite this being one of the heavier tracks off the records. And I love the chorus. I think it's absolutely one of the catchiest choruses off this record, hands down, full stop. I love that you could be definitely either singing along or grooving out to the beat. They just do a great job of kind of making a heavy song that you could kind of like headbang to, but also like a song that you could dance to at the same time. Just really tight. I love how far their imagination / creativity really took them in this track. I think that they really went pretty experimental with this one, and I think that the payoff was pretty well, considering that it has great aspects of heavy as well as groove too. So we're gonna move into track number 8, which is Hysterantics. I'm pretty sure I said that right. Again, could be butchering it, which is totally fine. I feel like I'd argue that this has some of the heaviest moments on New Age Filth. I will give you an example at the 1 minute and 57 second mark to around the 2 minutes and 26 second mark, as well as kind of in the moments where there's just straight drum beat and like hi-hat and snare. I think they really, no pun intended again, hit some of the heaviest moments off this record, and I think that they kind of fully capitalized that when Donnie comes in with some gnarly screams. I think he took a lot of chance screaming on this track specifically. I would say more closer to the end of the song is when he really kind of lets loose a little bit more, and brings in some pretty decently like nice mids and lows, which is definitely tight. And I know that they're not a metal band, but it's nice to see them kind of breaking out of their comfort zone and doing something that's just like pretty dummy heavy. So definitely enjoyed this one a lot, and definitely is one that you should go check out when it comes out. So we're gonna move into track number 9, which is Devaluation. I love that this track is basically vocals and guitar up until around the 1 minute and 26 second mark. I just love how beautiful it is, just like with some like really like reverby lush guitars, and then just with Donnie's vocals, like smothered over that, not in a bad smother, just like a nice coating of Donnie, which is definitely cool. I love that it creates this really nice dark undertone that leads into this incredible incredible drum solo from Donnie, which is definitely appreciated. I just love when he shows off some of his drumming prowess. It's really cool. I like how they close the song out as a full band. I think that is definitely something to note. And again, kind of reminds me a little bit of Gouge and Uproot too. But I would say, more specifically, I would say probably in Solipsism. I'm pretty sure it was the other song that has that in. I feel like it pulls from that, and it makes the song kind of come full circle, which is really cool. A solid track, and definitely probably another sleeper track off this record as well. We're gonna move into the last track number 10, which is Punch Drunk. I feel pretty similarly to how I feel about Domino is how I feel about Punch Drunk. I think it combines a lot of the best attributes of New Age Filth into a 3 minutes and 17 second song. The composition is so eloquently put together. Again, something I know that I've kind of raved about throughout this entire review, but I just think that Halo Sun and Chris did just a fantastic job of putting these songs together in a way that feels memorable, as well as just like songs that you can bump to. So love that. The song starts off similarly to like Major Mark and Devaluation, but then also has some moments of like aggressiveness that play off of songs like Slander and Domino as well. And I think kind of like, in between those two things is what Punch Drunk is, and it kind of paints a large brushstroke on this record, but I think does a great job of kind of finding that middle ground between like being melodic but also being heavy, and I think they do a great job of kind of sitting in between those two things. I would say it's a great retrospective on the album and kind of explores new territories, but also builds up attributes of Hail the Sun that we already know from them. Definitely one of my favorites, and I think it's an amazing closer track to this record. So some pros and cons that I have about it: I think Donnie did a fantastic job. I think he's, again, really expanded his vocal range, and I think he really, really, really did push himself on this record. So I gotta give him massive props, because he does a great job at those like really slow tracks that require like kind of a nice tender touch to him. But then you have tracks like Hysterantics where it's just super heavy, or like Parasite Cleanse where there's a lot more screaming involved, and I think he really handles those tracks well too. So I think he does a great job of rodeoing both into this record, and I've continued to be impressed by him, and also the fact that he just does these nutso drum parts too on top of that. So I think you got to give him a lot of credit for writing something that is going to be very hard to I guess put out live, like to be able to I can't even think of the word. Replicate, that's the word. I feel like it's going to be a hard thing for him to replicate live, but I feel like they always do a good job of being able to replicate what they do on a record in a live situation. So I have full faith that they're going to be able to do it. John has just been the rock that holds this record together, whether it be from like the heavier aspects of it, but also to kind of the lighter, more softer moments. I think he really brings it in both departments. And I feel like this record specifically, he was able to make more headway in certain songs, like Parasite Cleanse. You could definitely hear him in like Domino, in Misfire. I think he's Misfire, Major Mark. He definitely hit on those for sure, and I loved hearing it. And lastly, I think Eric and Shane did a fantastic job on the guitars. It was something that I don't want to say that I necessarily didn't focus on this review, but I wanted to try to highlight certain things that I felt like were executed well and that weren't guitars, because I feel like I always talk about guitar parts, but if I had to give a moment to both of these dudes, I feel like they did a great job writing some really captivating rhythm guitar parts, but also some really great leads. I feel like tracks like Parasite Cleanse, where there's just some insane like chugging and aggressive like chording, I think is really well done. Then you get to hear beautiful tracks like Major Mark with some like really ethereal guitar parts and like some really beautiful, like beautifully arranged chords. And then you have like Solipsism that has just some really beautiful chords, but also like rhythm changes and like time signatures and different time signatures and stuff like that. I think they just really ran the gambit, and I think that Eric and Shane really just get each other, and I think that their writing ability together is really, to me, unmatched in the scene thus far. I think they really come up with some unique guitar riffs that continue to make me come back and hate myself a little bit for trying to learn how to play guitar in any capacity. So shout outs to them. They're both fantastic guitar players. But my overall rating for Hail the Sun's New Age Filth, I'm going to be giving it a 9.7 out of 10. Definitely one record that I feel like could take the top spot of album of the year. It's definitely giving Era a run for their money. I loved Era. If you want to see me review that record, let me know too. I can write it up or do it live or something like that. Who knows? But that's another fantastic record that you should go give a listen to. But I feel like this could definitely match that of Era's record. I definitely feel like they're on their rise, and I think that they kind of hit both the melodic aspect of what Hail the Sun does, but also like the heavier aspects and really kind of delving deep into that territory too. So I think personally, this is turning to be maybe one of my favorite Hail the Sun records. It's still a little early, it's not out yet currently, and I still have a lot of time to listen to it, so opinions can change, but I feel pretty confident that this will at least make top 10 for this year for sure. So let me know in the comments what you think about this record. If you agree, if you disagree, I'd love to know your opinions and your thoughts on it. Definitely go pre-order this record if you haven't already. I know that they just launched some new vinyl, so your boy's going to be picking that up. So I'm very stoked on that. If you made it this far, thank you for watching this review. If you like the content, please subscribe, hit that like, share it. It really means a lot. I know I say it in pretty much every one of my videos, but if you don't ask for it, you probably won't get it. So I appreciate you guys for checking it out and showing me love. I love doing these sorts of things, and I hope that I can hopefully give you some insight into the new record, and hopefully you'll go check it out and listen to it. So thank you for watching. My name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace.